starting their own business is not an easy job, and it's a very lonely, hard work. That sometimes you feel very lonely to do that on your own. But when you know that you have the peer, when you have the community, that becomes the driver that keeps you moving forward. It was really interesting when I was speaking with one of the Bangladeshi participants. She kind of shared how she's been struggling for the past 2 years. It was really incredible what she has done. But at the same time, she had not been able to talk to anyone about it. And I asked her, so do you have anyone you can talk to about your challenges? And she said, Rashid, he's been very helpful. This year, that we did this self-management session for leaders. And it was a very important step for us to run a program for the first time dedicated for female entrepreneurs. When you're just living your everyday very hard, you can be very short-sighted. But at the end of the day, enterprise, being an entrepreneur is a way of life.
So thank you, Naho, for sparing time out of your busy schedule. I know how busy you were, and I do appreciate it.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. So the first thing is like I'm not that good at being said I'm busy. But yeah, to people's eyes, I look very busy. But don't worry, I have enough sleep and I have good weekends. And yeah, I just think, I just like to keep myself with exciting activities, let's say.
Okay, so let's put it in a way you are a workaholic.
That's well said. That's definitely accurate, I think.
Okay. So before diving into our discussion, I would like to paint a picture for whom we are doing the discussion. Like for this particular chat,
Mhm.
I have a certain persona in my mind for whom I believe your insights, the insights of ETIC, would be really beneficial. So let's call this person an impact entrepreneur who are their early stage in their leadership journey. They are overwhelmed, they're struggling, they are yet to get a good mentor, and they're looking for a role model. So these they have got these five defining similar characteristics.
Mhm.
And what we want to do is that we probably want to answer some of the questions on their behalf, as well as set a role model. Like, not necessarily that has to be confined within the territory of our country, that can be global. So that's the plan of our whole discussion. So with
Right.
this, now would you please introduce yourself, why you are here, like why you are in ethic, and how did you get involved in ethic?
Right. So to introduce myself, I joined ETIC in early 2020, just right in the midst of when the COVID outbreak was
Mhm.
happening all around the world. And it was very an interesting situation for me as well, that
Mhm.
my first day starts with this remote setting where I don't know anybody except one person who invited me to ETIC and, yeah, had me on board. And but for the next 6 months, I didn't meet any of my colleagues in person. And so, yeah, that was a very interesting
Mhm.
situation when I look back. Anyways, and I've been with ETIC now for nearly 4 years, I would say. And in ETIC, I mainly work in two different teams. One that is dedicated to support social entrepreneurs in Japan and running, let's say, nonprofit organizations. And the other team that is dedicated to kind of cultivate new international collaborative, projects with entrepreneurs or international partnerships with other like-minded organizations outside of Japan. Yeah, and prior to joining ETIC, I used to work for a different foundation based in Tokyo that was delivering international program on behalf of the Japanese government.
Mhm.
And there are different kinds of programs, some bilateral programs, some others multilateral projects. One of the programs that I ran was an knowledge exchange program for nonprofit practitioners from Japan and also Europe. So I coordinated a variety of study visit programs for Japanese nonprofit practitioners, especially those who do work for the elderly or the disabled and the young people, and we dispatch them to European countries. At the same time, we invite those nonprofit practitioners from Europe to Japan so that they can have kind of mutual discussion.
Okay.
And after doing the job for 4 years, I thought I wanted to go deeper more into supporting the social entrepreneurs on the ground level. And I thought ETIC would be the perfect place for it. So that's how I came to be on board here.
Okay. So you're passing a very interesting time, is being 30 years for ethic. So how do you describe the 30 years? If I have to say, hey, you have got a few minutes, just walk me through the 30 years of ethic. So how do
Mhm.
you do that?
Um, so I thought, taking an advantage of this Google Meets, I thought I might share a quick screen if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Um, oops. Sorry, it's just taking long. If you want to, so speaking about ETIC's 30 years of history on behalf of our founders is also very, like I feel very, pressured, let's say. But it's also kind of like remarkable experience for me as well to be at this 30th anniversary timing of the company, because that's not something that everyone can be experiencing. So what I would suggest is that this is the website of the ETIC International,
Mhm.
and if you go here, there's a thorough 15-page interview with our three co-founders on the history of ETIC. So if you want to go any deeper on the topic, I would highly recommend you to read this article, because it's really holistically um,
Mm,
kind of reviewing the history of ETIC.
mm.
And that's it. Time is limited. And if I am to share ETIC in a nutshell, I hope my network is a little slow today. But
No worries.
yeah. So ETIC is a company that is based in Tokyo. We are a registered nonprofit organization that first started as a student organization back in 1993. And after the legal registration in 2001, if I'm correct. And so overall, it's been like 30 years. And our mission is very simple. We try to establish ecosystem where everyone is able to unleash their entrepreneurial potential, right time and right place. How I usually describe is that we are more of entrepreneurship support organization more than an enterprise support organization. And what we mean by that is that we believe entrepreneurship is not something that resides only in the minds of entrepreneurs themselves. Entrepreneurship, it's something that exists in everyone's minds. So what we try to do is, regardless of the person's status, whether a student or corporate employee or anything, we try to kind of support them explore their inner entrepreneurship. And I usually try to, so 30 years is quite long, and it depends on like how you summarize those histories, right? And I would say there could be, maybe we can summarize the ethics history into 4 different stages. So originally the organization started as a student organization that's matched young students that were interested in starting their own businesses with the emerging IT startups in late 1990s. And back then, 1990s was already the time in Japan where rapid economic growth was already over and the bubble economy was bursted. But many young people were just enjoying their life by finding a stable job as a corporate employee. And after finishing their university life, they just enter into this workforce and work as a corporate employee. But there are many young people that actually had a passion, that had dream, that wanted to explore what they can achieve in their life. So we wanted to match those young entrepreneurs and give them the right opportunities to learn directly from the existing entrepreneurs and then who are then emerging IT startups. So Haruo and our co-founders, they organized this internship matching program for young entrepreneurs to be dispatched to the growing startups. And that's what happened in 1990s. And after that, in 2000, ETIC started our first work of supporting social entrepreneurs by hosting a very first social business contest in Japan in 2001, if I'm correct. And since then, we've been running this program called Social Entrepreneurship School Initiative that's been running for 20 years and one of the longest programs that supports social entrepreneurs in all Japan. And this idea of concept of entrepreneurship started to incorporate the social values and the environmental values as its mainstream business operations, there were growing interest all over Japan that we need more of these social entrepreneurs. But the idea is that, of course, ETIC cannot, support all the entrepreneurs. What can we then do? We can transfer our experiences and knowledges to other locally rooted intermediary organization. So we started this nationwide network called Challenge Community Programs, where a variety of intermediary organizations who knows the local context from across Japan join together and share their knowledges and experiences so that ETIC does not have to support the entrepreneurs, for example, in the south of Japan, all the way from Tokyo, but those people locally rooted can support them. So this was the kind of direction that we took. And and then the last stage is, I like this expression, powering to the people. Like I said earlier, entrepreneurship is something that we believe everyone does have. So right now, we do not work only with the entrepreneurs, but we provide a variety of collective impact projects, for example, with larger corporations or government officials. And we try to find these people who have this passion to start their own projects, but some cannot start those projects within their own entity because of many bureaucratic rules and such, so that they can start collaborating with other people outside of the company to start their own projects. So it's really about kind of enabling entrepreneurship of every individual that's existing. And then that's what we believe would make the positive impact to the society. Yeah.
Okay, quite interesting. So starting from a sort of internship exchange program with a bunch of students, moving on to disseminating your knowledge to different root level organizations, then working with the government people and other people. I believe one of the most important things that your founders did is that how they define entrepreneurship. They didn't limit it to the business only, but this is more of an identity. And that's what I keep saying. Entrepreneurship is something that we have inside ourselves, everyone. And this is an identity probably we need to search, explore, and unleash at one point. And probably that's what your founder did long back, almost 30 years back.
Yes.
So this is quite yeah.
No, please go ahead, Rashid.
Oh no, I was just saying this is quite an amazing way of thinking, because uh, like in Bangladesh there are a lot of entrepreneurship support organization, and like we are part of YBI, so we know a lot of entrepreneurship support organization. But like how you define entrepreneurship can change the organization's progression as you go ahead. So that's quite a great example.
Yeah, I think you're totally right on that point. And and on top of that, what we often say is that there are a bunch of incubators and accelerators nowadays. Everywhere you can find one in any city almost. But what we are better at the end of the day, we are leadership training people program, and we provide community to people, because that's at the end of the day driver for people to continue their businesses. Starting their own business is not an easy job, and it's a very lonely, hard work. That sometimes you feel very lonely to do that on your own. But when you know that you have the peer, when you have the community, that becomes the driver that, keeps you moving forward. And business planning and fundraising and all that, we do have networks so that entrepreneurs can learn from those mentors and lecturers that we know as well. But we think that our strength is not there. The biggest strength we have is really connecting people and unleashing those entrepreneurship of every individual. So yeah, that's how I put ETIC.
Yeah, probably that's why you reached out to us. We did the self management for our women, South Asian women leaders, and I believe it was a very good starting point of something big.
Mm.
Yeah, and like if you had to say, like, these are the most three impactful initiatives out of your 30 years, which three would you rank top three?
So top three, that's a very good question because everyone in ETIC, so we have about 50 full-time staff members, and if you include part-time, that's going to be about 100 people, and everyone has a passion for the job that we do. And if I am allowed to introduce my favorite, that's going to be the Social Entrepreneurship School Initiative, which is one of the longest running programs about. And there we go. This is a website of the program, and I'm sorry that it's only in Japanese, but this is accelerator program that runs for 8 months in sponsorship by our corporate partners. And since its initiation in 2001 or two, it depends on how you start counting, we have nurtured more than 140 alumni entrepreneurs. And what's very remarkable is that business continuation rate of the alumni is 87%, which is really, really high. And in the program, we have three different cohort of kind of cohort training sessions, and in between you have the opportunities to talk to your assigned individual coordinators so that they always come and check on how entrepreneurs are doing. And in the mentoring session, our mentors do not really give just a business advice how to gain money or how to write their business plan. That's also the part of the questions that they address, but the core concepts of the mentoring here is really about how our entrepreneurs want to live as an entrepreneur. So it really talks about, let me change some other slides because that's going to explain better, I think. My internet is a little slow today. Yeah, and so the current sponsors are the KAO and NEC Corporation, both are Japanese corporations. And in the middle, you'll find the founders, that is provided of the support and selected by the corporations, and they receive mentoring from our alumni mentors as well as experienced mentors. And in between, ETIC provides these individual coordinators that is assigned to each entrepreneur so that they can always come check up how they are doing. And if they need help, they can match them to the respective mentors or any other potential appropriate advisors. And like I said, business continuity, 86% is really, really high. And out of 132, which is kind of old number that's written on here. But the key concept we believe is that we see entrepreneurs as the change agents of the society. The social entrepreneurs are different from corporate employee or government official. They are those flexible individual that is able to connect and facilitate collaboration of many different actors in the society. And at the end of the day, society does not change just by starting your one business. It's about the collaboration of different stakeholders, and that's how you make the systemic level of transformation. So in the mentoring with the entrepreneurs, we address some really sometimes very conceptual questions itself, that it doesn't really capture the concrete ideas, but it really talks about how you can change the society through your business and what you want to achieve. And is your business at the end of the day only something that benefits yourself or your community? And that way we try to expand this perception horizon of the entrepreneurs, so that they become able to really kind of start thinking about the businesses that would make systemic level of social impacts. Yeah, and these are some of the examples of the entrepreneurs we have. And what's interesting is that Kunihiko and Yusuke were both alumni in the mid 2000, I think, and they have now become grown their businesses, and they are now coming back as an experienced mentors to the younger members of the program. So there is already this circulation of the talent and personnel, let's say. Yeah, so
Yeah.
this is a really one of the most beloved programs, I would say.
Yes. And since they have been there, done that, they know what are the struggles of the social entrepreneurs, how they can navigate those. So these experiences are really helpful.
Right. And I would also add to that. So many, when I listen to, when I hear conversations with other incubators or accelerators, I think many programs tend to do this cohort programs that would bring one lecture and then teach everyone all at once. But what ETIC also does differently is, like I said, assignment of individual coordinators to each entrepreneurs. And this
Mhm.
costs a lot of money, but this actually really provides psychological support for entrepreneurs.
Mhm.
And when you are on your, so it's ultimately it's like a personal coaching with entrepreneur. But the ethics entrepreneur not just provide coaching to the entrepreneurs, but by analyzing and by capturing the substance of their current challenge, they also provide process, let's say, process consultation, that to whom they should meet, or to which business, existing business they should look at. And that way they provide different set of ideas to entrepreneurs that they can refer to, so that they don't have to look for answer not just by themselves. So when you actually think about ethics, you know uh, number of entrepreneurs that ETIC supported over the all of these years. Sorry, this is not the correct number, but maybe, sorry, the number is a little bit mixed. But
Mm.
the reason why we do not have such a significant amount of entrepreneurs in the last 30 years is because we really try to provide hands-on support to entrepreneurs. But
Mhm.
because of this hands-on support, we can ensure this business continuity.
Mhm.
So yeah, so that's how I would describe ethics, program's uniqueness.
Oh, incredible, incredible journey. And I can relate to the last part because when you are giving concentrated support, it is very difficult to focus on the numbers only because there's no one size fit all approach. Let's say I'm a social
Right.
entrepreneur, I am coming to you. You have to understand my journey, my personal experiences. You have to do my SWOT analysis before you doing the business SWOT analysis. So this takes a lot of bandwidth of an organization, but what we have seen, providing this kind of tailored support actually brings us the most result as opposed to the wholesale support that we usually, because we have been to both side of the table. We have given that large scale training and there's like consultation, but the latter one has always been the successful one for us as well.
And I think it's also the kind of lesson that we can draw from here is really when we are business incubators, what we support is not just the businesses and enterprises that entrepreneurs run. We are supporting the entrepreneurs and their life. it was really interesting when I was speaking with one of the Bangladeshi participants in the program that we supported together, and she kind of shared how she's been very much struggling for the past 2 years with handling her businesses while being a student and raising her own child. And it was really incredible what she has done. But at the same time, she had not been able to talk to anyone about it. And I asked her, so do you have anyone you can talk to about your challenges? And she said, Rashid, he's been very helpful. And it was really heartwarming to hear. And then, but that was also the time when I realized that what we support is not just the enterprises. What we support is entrepreneurs and their life. We see them as a whole person, so not
Mm.
just their businesses. And so I think that's the really important lesson that we can draw on, yeah, from this part of conversation here.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, like reflecting on ethics, 30 years journey. So, what were the personal experiences, milestones that you still cherish? Like you have been here like for last 4.5 years, and like what is being like for you personally so dear to you for in this journey?
That's a very good question. And every day it's very much, fun work to meet entrepreneurs, and I have amazing colleagues. And, that's one of the reasons why, I am very much workaholic and addicted to that. And but that said, if I am to, say that's a milestone, that would probably be the launch of the ETICS international team. And when I joined ETIC, prior to me joining ETIC, ETIC always had a kind of ad hoc basis of contact with international partners or international donors. But there was no team that was dedicated to really proactively kind of cultivate partnerships and collaboration with overseas stakeholders. But when I joined the team, my colleague, here we go, Mitsu, he asked me if I want to join as the founding member of this ETICS international project team. And we decided to, yeah, do something together. And so I personally found it a pity that ETIC has already done 30 years of incredible work, but just because there was no team dedicated to proactively communicate those, achievement internationally, there's a, significant amount of knowledge that's lost. And
Mm.
so that's the kind of gap that I wanted to bridge. So I, decided to join the international team, and Mitsu and I are the main members right now in that team to, explore new opportunities with overseas partners, or we also support entrepreneurs that wants to kind of do internationally collaborating projects. So that's maybe one milestone I would say.
Okay, amazing. So, yeah, hands down, it has undoubtedly accomplished quite a lot. I mean, quite a lot in last 30 years. So, what do you think is that apart from this one, that your role in has contributed to the organizational growth and impact, apart from this international, uh, like international liaison and bringing in like
Mhm.
new perspectives to the whole organization?
Right. And if I am, allowed to say that humbly, I would say for me, what was important was one of the probably important roles that I took in ETIC was starting discussion around the diversity and inclusion in Japan. And um, so when so in 2020, I think almost the end of the year, we had this inquiry from YBI that they want to fund projects in Japan and support entrepreneurs here. But and so we had this like a more opportunities to work with international donors in the last 3-4 years. And but what happened was that we were also required to provide the detailed breakdowns of those entrepreneurs' attributes, gender attributes, or disability, and so on. And what's interesting about ETIC is that ETIC's been always open-minded about accepting every entrepreneur that is interested. And however, we were there was no significant, let's say, proactive measurement to make sure the inclusivity of the program. And I immediately noticed that if ETIC wants to connect and collaborate with more international partners, it would be indispensable for us. It would be very important for us to directly work on these topics of diversity and inclusion. And diversity and inclusion in Japan is a very difficult discussion because it's such a homogeneous country. And when you actually ever look at the World Economic Forum gender gap report, Japan ranks one lowest than any other Asian countries. One of the lowest developed countries ranked in the gender gap reports, and the country really, respects harmony and, yeah, harmony and peace, which is a great thing. But it's very difficult to have this open dialogue around the topic of diversities, because sometimes recognizing this, diversity can create this new division, let's say. And so, however, if we wanted to, like I said, want to connect with international partners, it was an indispensable step for us to take. And so, I started to I asked some voluntary members who might be interested in discussing these topics of diversity and inclusion when we had this invitation by the YBI to join the toolkit workshop. And there was a voluntary discussion that started to talking about diversity and inclusion of our own company, and it has become an official task force that's attached to the legal compliance team in 2023. And it's quite incredible to think, how much changes we have made over the last 1 year. It was not just me. Maybe I was the first person to suggest the ideas, but it was the work that everyone else did. And then ETICS members are so much, supportive of, people's different initiatives. So that was also a very good backup. And ultimately, this year, that we did the self-management session for leaders. And it was a very important step for us to run a program for the first time dedicated for female entrepreneurs. So this is really our commitments that we are working on our own diversity and inclusion, but we are also working to address the social social inequality around this topic. So those are probably two big steps I would say here.
So what I could capture is that the diversity and inclusion part is was always there in ETIC. It was like someone was not there to run with it because ETIC was always overwhelmed with the local projects and there are a lot of work to do. So like you were the first one to start taking the lead, and there you had got all the support from your organization, from the top management, from your colleagues, to make the whole process a successful one and replicate it. This is very important, that you are not doing it just internally, but also you are like doing it externally for other entrepreneurs. And I would like to personally thank you for having us in the self-management entire self-management initiative, because it was quite of a, I would say, very interesting experience, because at first I was not sure what kind of benefit would our entrepreneurs get out of this international collaboration, because whenever we make a decision internally, our entrepreneurs first, that's our like internal motto, entrepreneurs first. So we did have to do a very thorough analysis. Okay, these are the benefits that our entrepreneurs will get, and after having a candid discussion with them, they're really happy with the program, and they're like requesting me if we can like run the extended version, or we can have this kind of similar initiative. They would like to be part of it. So yeah, thank you for having us in your initiative.
Yeah, and if I am to add that, I said, so elements of diversity and inclusion's been always within ETIC, but there was like no one that took up, proactive initiative on that, and that is a very correctly put. And if I am to add another element, I think we will talk about this later too. But so ETIC has been going through this organizational transformation over the last 6 years, I think. into a non-hierarchical, so-called self-management organization, which really respects and values the self-initiatives of the employees. So the employees are just not doing things that are told by the boss, but they have their own idea, they have their own agenda, and they become accountable to that, to other members of the company. So all of this organizational transformation was also probably a backup for us to really advance this agenda of diversity and inclusion. But yeah, maybe we can talk about this later, I think.
Yeah, quite interesting. It's like nurturing entrepreneurs inside the organization, right?
Yeah, you're totally right.
Okay. So we have gone through your statistics, and it's quite remarkable one. So if we want to look ahead, so what's next? What's next for ETIC? What's next? What's there for the next decade? What's your plan?
So we already had a very big change 2 years ago when our founding CEO Haruo stepped down as a CEO, and the organization tried to become one called self-management organization. And this is an organizational theory that's been posed by a scholar called Frederick Laloux. And he said that he said how organizations can become an self-evolutionary organization that always changes with the people's personal growth and their interactions. And what happens with ETIC is that when ETIC became such a big organization already in 2000, after 2010, there were about 100 employees, and the budget was very big, but the organization was very hierarchical, top down management style. But in 2016 there was a significant turning point that many staff were burnt out, and they were tearing themselves, and they had to leave the job because they could not feel respective of their own individuality and entrepreneurship. And what's great about our then directors was that they saw this is a very important incident for the corporation. So they really started to work on creating the new cultures, fostering them inside the company. And what we started first was that providing this training on the personal coaching to everyone. And we partnered with one of the largest personal coaching training institute called the CTI, and it's the Japanese branches, to provide the basic training for coaching. And that way, staff members started to learn how to listen to each other. And then by fostering this culture of listening to each other, eventually staff members became able to speak about their own emotion, their thoughts, their opinions, so that all of those decisions will not be made only by one, top-down way of your boss, but it became the kind of mutually reinforcing decision. And finally, ETIC, and after this culture of listening and everything was fostered, so by the time I joined in 2020, I already felt very comfortable within ETIC, that people were very attentive to each other, and then they're really respecting your opinions. But that was because of all of these efforts and some tragic experiences that everyone had to go through. And in 2021, I think the organization decided to fully dismantle this hierarchical management and decided to move to this self-management organization. And what we say here is that we are organization that supports entrepreneurship of individuals, but we are taking away entrepreneurship of our own employees. And what is that? So right now, so we have this like self-management style within the organization, which is also not an easy path. And we are still, making a lot of efforts to somehow have it work. But ETIC has always been the forerunner of entrepreneurship. And then we think this is self-management is ultimately connected to this whole concept of diversity and inclusion as well. It's about inclusive entrepreneurship. It's really about updating the concept of entrepreneurship. So I would say that would be maybe the next potential path that it could be taking.
Yeah, quite interesting. And uh, I'd just like to share that we have been in this self-management journey for last 6 or 7 months. It's difficult. Like everyone is having doubt in the process, and like my team has having doubt in the process. What I'm hopeful is that like as they go ahead, they will struggle, but they will get exposed to their true self, which is very important, because I never wanted our team to just think like an employee. Everyone is an entrepreneur, because if I can't think like an entrepreneur, how can I support an entrepreneur? That's literally impossible. And this is what I just keep saying, that you have to embed this identity into yourself.
Right.
Unless we do this, we cannot support our entrepreneurs in a remarkable way. And that's our goal. We need to support them in a remarkable, holistic, and tailored way. So yeah, I probably we need to catch up later on to understand your journey, to like get all the stuff that you got to know from this journey and like implement it here.
Yeah.
So yeah, as time is of essence, I know again you are a workaholic and you have a lot of other works. So like you have been a part of an incredible organization, and being part of this, what are the key learnings or key insights? Let's say you have to leave this organization tomorrow and you're starting your own venture. So what are those learnings that would be most valuable to you?
Oh, to me.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a very good question. I think so. I honestly didn't think that I would join an organization that supports entrepreneurs myself, because I was more probably comfortable where so that how should I put it? Japan, like I said earlier, Japan is a country that really respects harmony
Hmm.
and um kind of, well, principles and traditions and social norms and all. And even someone like me, feels sometimes, constrained to those, socially, yeah, social perceptions, let's say. And but at the same time, I knew there was always, this kind of firing personality inside myself, that I wanted to, make a positive impact. I wanted to do things that I think is right for the society.
Hmm.
And ETIC really provided me with this opportunity to explore those
Hmm.
personal mission. So I could, pursue my own entrepreneurship in this time in a form of organizing this self-management session, let's say. And so it's been an incredible journey. And also for me personally, um, I sometimes I travel a lot for work internationally, and sometimes I see this significant gap with the international discussion and the Japanese, society where we are, and it's always hard for me to find the right kind of middle point of these different social contexts, and it's been a challenge for me to navigate how we can align this international discussion with the Japanese societal discussion that ETIC is being surrounded as well. And so, yeah, but people in ETIC have been very supportive of your ideas, and they always give you the right, advice and, support you no matter what. And then this feeling of, psychological support has been a very essential, yeah, part for me to guide my personal journey in ETIC.
Okay, so in that case, like going back to that particular group of people, the impact first leaders, uh, so if they have to draw three key lessons from ethics journey, what will be those three key
So
lessons?
to whom did you say again? Lessons for.
Like the persona that I set in the beginning of our organization, those impact first leaders, since they're struggling, they're overwhelmed, they're at the very early stage of their leadership journey, and they don't have any kind of mentor and they don't have a role model. So let's say I have figured out that ethic is my role model. So after 30 years of your journey, so what are the three key principles that I can draw from your journey, as an organization, that I can implement in my
Mhm.
organization?
I would say maybe two things. One, think in a longer time frame. So maybe when you're thinking just in a short time span, and you're living your everyday, and then you can be very much, when you're just living your everyday very hard, you can be very short sighted. But at the end of the day, enterprise, being an entrepreneur is a way of life. So you have to think in a longer term. And then when you think about our founding CEO back in 1993, they were not being paid to organize all of these actions. I can't believe that. So I have absolute respect for those who really started this initiative and grew into a company that hires more than 50 full-time staff. So
Mm,
it's a long journey.
mm,
When you are just thinking of the day, of course it's very hard, you feel lonely, and then you can't trust it, this you
mm,
can't believe this is leading you to anywhere. But when you
mm,
think about in the long term, you will meet somewhere. It's about how you know what's the time frame that you use. And the second piece of advice I would say is that um don't you know I think everyone knows this African proverb: if you want to go faster, go by on your own. If you want to go longer, if you go farther, go with everyone else. So at the end of the day, social impact, changing a society, making a systemic impact, it's not something that you can do only by your own. It's about collaboration, it's about working together with other people, and it's about collectively sometimes giving up your own position for the benefits of the society and working together with other people.
mm,
And and then that's the most exciting part of being a nonprofit organization as well. At the end of the day, we are not profit driven, we are social impact driven. And then social impact is something that you produce in collaboration with other people. So
mm.
yeah, those are probably two piece of advice I would give to people from ETIC's journey.
I noticed that. That's quite helpful. So, as an individual, I'm quite interested about like different cultures. So, I just want to know, let's say if I'm an entrepreneur who live in Japan and I want to start my entrepreneurial journey. So, what would be your advice for me?
So my advice for people is that believe in yourself. In Japanese, there's a saying says that innovation or history starts by outsider or the young or the fools. So you can be an outsider, you can be a fool to make the change, but you see things in different,
Mm,
from different perspectives, and that's the kind of value that you can bring to people.
mm,
And on top of that, I think Japanese society
mm,
is a very peaceful, calm, harmonious society. Like I've already repeated, and
mm,
but this can be actually a challenge for young entrepreneurs who has this incredibly new ideas and wants to test their innovations.
mm,
And but don't think that just because somebody didn't say that you can do that, don't take that as your idea.
mm,
There are people like ET who
mm,
believes in every initiative, every individual, as long as there is this firing spirit in somebody who wants to work
mm,
for the benefit of others. We are
mm.
there to support you. So the importance of community, and the community is there, it's just up to you who if you join or not. So,
Okay, that's quite inspiring. So, as a closing ritual, what we do is that we ask our
mhm.
guests to share an inspiring quote, a book, and a productivity hack. And especially from people like you who are workaholic, productivity
Oh
hack
my
will be
God.
really useful. So, yeah, would you please?
Okay, so I don't know if we would really fall into productivity hack, but when I saw this question, my immediate answer was my let's say hobby. Let's say I've been practicing Japanese tea ceremony for 12 years.
Okay.
And that's a Japanese tea ceremony. I don't know if you have heard about it, but that's a kind of ceremonial rituals that was developed in 16th century in Japan, incorporating some of the teaching of Buddhisms and stuff. And it's about presentation of making tea and serving it to your guests, and you being the host, and yeah, enjoying the harmonious harmony in the in this tea room.
All
And
right.
this important, there's one saying called wake seijaku, and then that's that applies to 4 different Chinese letters, and that's the slogan of this Japanese tea ceremony. So wa means the harmony. So in the tea room, at the end of the in the tea room, there are different individuals coming from different places, and you use different items and utensils, but you make a harmony out of it. There's a harmonious universe that you create in this tea room. And K means respect. So those are different individuals. So you have to treat them with respect. And Sei means this purity. So you have to keep the physical purity as well as your, let's say, inner purity. And then Jaku means tranquility. So nothing disturbs, your peace. So anything, maybe some difficult things happens, but you just stay calm, and then you just, live the life that you do. So this wake seijaku is this teaching of Japanese tea ceremony, and I think I have really incorporated this somehow in my way of life. And I thought maybe I should show you a photo of myself tea ceremony if that's any fun. And
Yeah.
this is the New Year's tea gathering from 2 years ago, I think. So we are still wearing the mask, but you make tea to your guest, and it's about this conversation. And then this whole world is really based on this logic of kindness to other people. And I said that, as a hobby, but for me, tea ceremony is like way of life for me. And that's been really helping me to, go through difficult time, as well as, enjoying life in general. So it's not really a productivity hack, but it's about, I think, let's say, it's almost like 3 times of meditational work that I do every month. And that's been really strengthening me.
But I believe that's quite interesting, because that is something that shapes you and that like have impact in your day-to-day work. Because once you have harmony, respect, purity, tranquility, you have like taken control of your inner self to some extent, as well as you have made peace with your colleagues, with your society.
Mm.
Like, if you, even if you have to challenge someone, you can be, like the principle says, respectfully challenging someone. I mean, okay, this is not a traditional productivity hack, but uh, I would like to like really explore these 4 principles.
Mm.
Yeah.
I
So
highly recommend that.
yeah. So thank you very much. Now, once again, I mean, I really can't thank you enough. And hopefully your journey continues and you keep contributing to the, not only the Japanese entrepreneur ecosystem, because what I believe ethics journey is also a role model for like organization like ours, for other impact leaders who are in their early stage of their journey, as I said. And this is a contribution to a fair world. Yeah. So thank you very much.
Yeah, I really look forward to, making more impact together with Bia as well. It's been an incredible experience working together. So we'll do more together.